Okay, gotta rotate device. I don't like that. Praise Allah. Alrighty. Praise Allah. I think YouTube. Going right now, Mo. Hope y'all can hear me. Having issues with the live stream on the regular. I think they cut me off, y'all. Yeah, I'm not sure though. Let me not speculate. So I tried the YouTube, on my channel, and still it's not coming up. Wow. My entire channel is not coming up. This is crazy. So I'm going live right now, trying to go live over, yeah, wow, look at that. 500 something internet server error going here. Okay, so if you guys can hear me out there, please put something in the chat. I'm not going to rotate my device. I don't want to rotate my device. What is this? All right, so if you guys can hear me out there, let me know. Man, this thing is crazy. All right, so they're not giving me access, and I don't even know if I'm live or if anyone can hear me. Somebody give me a call if you guys can hear me right now. I don't know what's going on with the YouTuber, but it looks like they hope I'm not on the Alex Jones ban list. You know what I'm saying? Was I saying? Islam, Joe ML, Islam Mo. I'm going live right now on my phone, my channel, for some odd reason. And man, I got full bars down here. I mean, I'm on a 5G network. And I can't go live right now. It's not allowing me to go live. Let's see. See if it happens. Nope. It's not allowing me to go live, everybody. So I'm going to go live here on this phone. So if you guys are able to see this, I hope so. Somebody hit me one more time on my phone. I think Adam's L put Islam. Does that means you can see me? Can you hear me and see me, please? Somebody put that out there to let me know. Then I'll continue to go live. Because if not, then I'm trying to figure out a way to do our lecture tonight. Okay? So it's almost 7:22. So, you know. All messages are visible. Live chat are visible. Okay. I can't see it. But we're going to continue to go ahead and smack on with this particular demonstration. We'll be starting at 7:30 as usual. This is just a pre-show for me to see if things are going good with the technical, and obviously I'm glad I did because YouTube has all of a sudden out the blue tonight. As soon as I go on my channel, I can't even get to my channel. You know, makes you wonder. And so I'm trying to deal with that, everybody. So give me one moment here. Hope not to drop you. Okay, let's do it like this. You guys are here near my iPad now. So close I can smell you. You know, but let me do a few things, okay? Let me see. Why isn't this working? So yes, so to bring everybody up to date, I went to go live at 7:15 and everything was going good. And as soon as I put in the title, everything went blank. I don't know why it went blank. I haven't gotten any getting anybody to let me know right now. I guess not. So we may have to go on the call-in line, old school. Not mad at it. Notifications. How are my notifications and all that working? But all of a sudden, they've banned me from going live. I want you guys sitting here looking all up my nose all night. All right, so I guess we'll go on with the class. I'm able to go live right now on my phone. Okay, and I guess the best thing we can do here is to go forward with the class and see if we oh, there we go. Somebody give me a little like there. I don't see anybody viewing at this time, so I am live. See that I am live, and it is only 7:26. Okay, so to give everybody an update, right? I had went live on my. Let's see if I can't put this somewhere where everybody can see me. How about that? Oh Lord! Technical difficulty, everybody. Mad technical difficulty. So I went to go live on YouTube, and the regular way I do it, and I couldn't even get on. Isn't that crazy? Couldn't even get on, yo. Couldn't even get on. So that's not good. I don't like the way that looks. So give me a moment to try to get myself organized here, because for some odd reason, the regular YouTube told me I wasn't good enough to go on their particular little whatchamacallit thingy thing. Alright? Isn't that crazy? Uh-oh. What's going on here? Let's go with the yeah, I like that one. That's cool. Alright. Boom. That's all I need, right? So one person that's watching right now, let me bring you up to date. So I go on YouTube, right? And wonder why it's still doing that. The heck is going on? So I go on YouTube and I'm trying to get rid of this thing at the bottom of my screen here. Some weird stuff going on. All right, so let's do that. Oh, there we go. All right, so anyway, I go on YouTube to go live, and I've been, did my little monitoring, a little study earlier, watching a couple of documentaries, and everything was great. Looking at my channel, making sure things were good for the night. Everything's great. As soon as I go on and go live and put in the thing, it cuts off. So I'm like, it's like, okay. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just, technical difficulty, but no. The whole thing, my whole channel shut down. So I go live right now on my phone, and I'm able to go live on the phone. And it's going in and out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, that never happened before. Right? So maybe it's just technical difficulty before I go conspiracy theory. I'm not one to go for conspiracy theories. You know what I'm saying? I'm just one to go for the truth and stuff. But anyway, we're going to begin the class here in 1 minute. I was trying to get a little beat going, a little music for us, as we do right now before 7:30. But I tripped out on every platform of my whole channel was kind of shut down. I'm not really, am I really speaking that heavy? Are they really that scared? No, I'm not. So anyway, so you're going to bear with me here tonight on my phone. Okay, and we will be beginning here in 1 minute. So bear with me here while we go just through, one album here. Try to play a little good music, get a good vibe, before we go on. That was my whole purpose. But maybe it just looks like we're just going to have to go directly into it. Okay? All right. Don't want to put you guys to sleep prior to us going with it, But I had all the music cued and everything, and then my YouTube went down. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a little nutty? All right, so anyway, you know what? It's 7:30. So we're going to go ahead and go with the class. All right. So for those who are watching right now, just a quick update. I went to go live on YouTube and on my regular computer, and my whole YouTube channel shut down. I don't know why it's still going on right now on the live stream here on my phone, but it is working. So let us not dilly dally on that, and let us go ahead. Islamism. Oh, Sister Jamil. Okay, sis. So anyway, so everybody, please, bear with me as I have to switch a format here. Okay, because the majority of my things right here were on the other computer, but since it's doing its weird thing on YouTube and my channel shut down all of a sudden out of nowhere, I have to do a few readjustments. So give me 1 second as I readjust. And if you can just bear with me, we're going to get into some really good stuff this evening. All right. So it is 7:33. It's currently 7:33. Okay. We're going to play just one little groove. Try to get our minds right. Everybody take a deep breath while I go into the classroom and open that up for everybody and make sure we're all good.
Tell me not that I'm a dreamer, for the things I feel and see, or that nothing can be accomplished from the things I wish to be.
So praise Allah.
Tell me not that I'm fanatic.
Hopefully they'll put my YouTube channel back up.
There are flowers
And if they don't, well, it was good while it lasted. But we're going to make sure we continue to go on with this class tonight.
When I take up modern weapons to avenge my father's name, let your eyes scan on the ghettos through the books of history. Then you'll understand this feeling and just how it came to be. Sure, I must admit I'm bitter for the precious blood I've bled.
All right, so praise Allah. We are live right now. We're about to go through these lessons. If there's anybody listening out there, praise Allah. And if you're not, please get on with a DOS program so that we could make this happen. All right? We're going to kind of put this, oh, this is the classroom. We can't do that. I'm going to put this to the side, get out these particular books, right? So that we can begin here. Make sure that you have your tools with you. We're going to open up in prayer, of course. Of course. And if you have them available, your Quran questionnaire from more shenanigans. And where's mine at? I tell you, I've been studying so much. Take that stuff everywhere with me. All right.
White folks, I've done you no wrong. I'm on guilty of making you strong. I've built all of your cities.
So praise Allah. We're going to allow that to fade here. We're going to let that play out, and then we will begin the class. Okay, for all those to catch up and get on board here. Let's see what's going on here with this. Alright, so the chat's on, everything's on. This is good.
When you knew nothing of the barrier of sound, it was I who taught you that this planet was round. In Palermo, Sicily, and Enki in Spain, I left monuments of my grandeur and fame. And during your dark ages, when your people were blind, I built universities to enlighten your kind. When your homeland was weak and your people were poor, it was I who brought you to America's shore. While you did not even know how to survive, I showed you medicine to keep you alive. How earnest you seemed, how well you did learn, how vile a reward I received in return. But time is on
so today's topic for everybody out there. Today's topic is the Moors before the flood. Okay, what were we doing? You know, what was going on, and where's that in our Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America? We're going to look into that and finish off the last part of chapter 3 in the student manual. Okay, and really, I'm just going to go into a brief, and then we're going to get into chapter 4, which starts to deal with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, one of my favorite chapters. Okay, so everybody hold tight. We're going to end this little music here. All right. So everybody take a good deep breath. We're going to begin. Let's raise our wings up high. Okay. Please repeat after me the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. Please let me know if you guys can see me. I'm still having issues with the stream. They cut me off. So if there's anybody out there right now watching, put something in the chat. Okay, praise Allah. So I see there's one person in there. So praise Allah, we're going to begin. Like I said, tonight's lecture is dealing with the Moors before the flood. Okay, the ancient Moabites in prehistory. And we're also going to deal with the opening chapters of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We're going to start to look at the royal prince and cut away all the myths and deal with the reality of him being a divine angel sent from Allah to get us out of this particular situation of being dead. So the resurrection's a fact, and he did that for us. So praise Allah. Like I said before, I was having little issues with the regular way I do the stream. For some reason, they cut down my YouTube channel, and so I'm rolling here on the phone. They didn't seem to get to that part of it, I guess. So let's hope this goes all the way through and this continues and it was just a glitch. Okay, so we already opened up with the prayer. Please get out your tools, and automatically your tools are the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and the Quran questionnaires for Moorish American, which are the foundations of the entire course. There's excuse me, no other particular books that we utilize in this course, or the Moorish Science Temple of America for that matter, other than the other particular pieces to the Prophet's corpus, such as his, warnings to the nations, and everything that is legitimately from the Prophet, we are able to utilize, right? We have the student manual. We're going to open up on chapter 4. But we're going to end right now, prior to chapter 4, dealing with Bay and L. We ended on L, the last lecture, okay? And I do want to go into, I'm going to read something about that, which a lot of people may be familiar with, okay? It is the hidden accounts of El, the seventh planet from the sun. All right, so this was it was a really good article in the Moorish American Scholar. Okay, so you can go on the bookstore and pick that up, and it's all about El. All right, it is. We've been dealing with El and Bao and Bay, and getting its etymology and its understanding for the last few lectures. Right, so I wanted to end that part of the chapter, right, with El. Right, so then we can, like we were saying, removing the spookism from these things that the psychology of a European has put up on the Asiatics who are truly Moors of North America. Now, a European psychology, when we say that, a lot of people, you're European psychology, and think to use that maybe as a weapon or something, or maybe as it's a negative thing. It's not, right? It works very well for a European, for it's their psychology. It only doesn't work good for those who are Moors, putting on a psychology that is not of their own. Like the prophet said, chasing after gods of Europe. You know what I'm saying? And these things, we have to understand that when we say that we are Asiatics of North America are suffering from mental slavery or which is evolved from a European psychology. It's not a negative thing on the European. Okay, it is actually to get the Asiatic to wake up and to understand the knowledge of self and the psychology of your forefathers, your divine and national creed, right, is the best way because this is when we were, moving more collective in our unity and spreading civilizations from one corner to the planet to the next under this particular psychology. When we get a European psychology, we fall all the way down to a devil, to some type of wicked black state of mental degradation, because that's all that term black or Negro or colored or African American, these are characters and mental states of a fallen Moor. All right. And so, we come up out of that. So, anyway, you need these particular tools that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali left for us so that we can get out of this mental degraded state. All right. And that's what we're doing here. We're learning it and we're breaking it down. We're utilizing his corpus and we're going into detail so that we don't miss anything. And we're not taking anything for granted, so to say. We're not taking words that he utilizes nor his grammar for granted and act with ego like we know something when he told us that we have European psychology or mental slavery. Therefore, in other words, we need to let go of that old mind and pick up this new mind of our forefathers that was put in stasis for us for a few 100 years, so that it's time for us to awaken, right, we would come back and have the proper psychology so that we could fulfill our destiny. Praise Allah. I don't want to rattle on about that. So anyway, let's open up the Holy Quran, the Moor Science Temple of America, to chapter 47. Okay, that is on page 66. All right. So we're going to open up with the Quran. All right. And also on page in the student manual, we're going to be starting on page 37, chapter 4, the divine and historical facts about the noble prophet Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine National Movement of North America, Moorish Science Temple of America, historical prophecies. Okay, we're going to go into that, and hopefully we can get really far with that tonight. If not, we'll pick it up in the next lecture. So everybody get out their manuals and make sure they have their finger on that, on page 37, okay? And also, we're going to go into manual number 3 briefly, because it also gives a very good description of the prophet, because we're about to go into who the prophet is and start to really understand his mission, not from other people's point of view, but from what came to us by our Divine Father. All right. And the facts and the historical facts that say everything that he did was right. And we can prove everything that he did and who he says he was can be proven today. All right. And we've had enough time to look at his prophecies to see a lot of his prophecies have come through, and that's very important, for us to be able to know for a fact that his prophecies are coming through. You can't have a prophet without prophecies. And we're going to get into that. All right. So let us go into chapter 47 of the Holy Quran, the Moor Science Temple of America. I went into the classroom and for some reason, I did put a free PDF copy of that into the classroom, and I'm trying to find it, and I don't see it on the attachments for some reason. Okay. So I'll do that. Make sure that gets back in there, okay? All right, so let us go to chapter 47 and let us set the premise, all right? All right, because we're going to revisit that, all right? Chapter 47. All right, so I just wanted to open up. So we're at page 66, chapter 47, XLV11, Roman numerals for 47. And read from the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, Logo Circle 7, divinely prepared by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. All right, so it says the Egypt, the capital empire of the dominions of Africa. All right, and it says the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan, right? Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the hyphen, the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. We're going to stop right there because so much information was just spoken in the first three verses. It's just incredible. Okay, and we have to see this and understand this. All right. So I'm just going to go briefly, and then we're going to go into it. All right, and then we're going to go see what we're talking about. So it says number one, the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Very important open. He says the inhabitants of Africa. So not only has he pinpointed where the people of Africa come from, and all these people want to tell you is that all life started in Africa. Somebody's mm, and that just because they hammer that in and they get a bunch of people to repeat that have some suits on, and these particular degrees are, as they call them, degrees, right? Doesn't make them 100% accurate in what they're talking about. These are the same people that told you that everybody comes from a monkey. These are the same people that would tell you some crazy story of you came from a monkey, and then they'll hit you with the bait and switch for years because they can't find no missing link thing because there isn't like that. And, they mix a story and degrade it to try to give you a perception of reality to rule you. To try to give them to give you a perception of a history and someone's so-called place in that history. Then they give you this weird concept of their cosmology, and then just because a bunch of people in suits get on TV and they all get together and be like, yep, this is what we're going to say, and this is right, man, let's not make it right, yo. Okay? Oh, I can see people now. All right, praise Allah. Islam, everybody. Praise Allah. Y'all just popped up on the chat. Okay, praise Allah. Islam. So it does not make them so, right? It does not make them right. So we have to understand that as people coming about of that particular psychology. We have to understand that we have to check on these people because they're liars. And it's a fact. Just like anything else, though. I mean, let's just not even call them the names or anything anymore. People have a tendency to make up a particular way to suit their well-being about how they see themselves. So they'll embellish to the point, certain people will embellish to the point where they'll even say that was them, in the particular scheme of things in history when they didn't even come about at that time yet. Certain people on the scene right now are just barely 300 years old. You know what I mean? I mean, let's look at the people that came up out of the mixing of the Spanish and the those indigenous down in South America. And they're called, a particular people today with nationalities. Well, these particular people came about that particular mixing very recently. So we have to look at a few things. It says the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. We're going to go into this now. It says old man Cush. Listen to what he's telling you right there. Because one, let's go back to verse 1. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Now, this is prehistory. This is the prehistory part and the part before the flood. Okay. Now let's go on to two. It says, I'm going to explain that. It says, to the old man Cush, old man, and his family. So old man Cush, he was old. I mean, old man Cush and a family. How many people in his family? A grip, a whole lot of people, grandsons, men, grandsons, sons. These people were like, had the ability, a little bit more moral fortitude about themselves, where they were able to marry at a much younger age because their mental capacity, their moral values were at a much higher standard. Okay. So around 13 and 12, they were considered grown. Today, we wouldn't want to do that. Some of these 40 and 50 and 30 and 2, 30, these people are not even grown mentally. These people are acting like children. I mean, just take a look at a lot of, 35, 40-year-old men still sagging. You know. All right, so anyway, it goes, old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came, look at this, who came from the land of Canaan. So all this that people, look at this, all this that, everybody came out of Africa. Not the one they're saying. They fool you to a degree but the prophet clarifies. What Africa? What are you talking about? What do you mean Africa? Hold on. All right, let's go on. His father Ham and his family were second. So there was no one in Africa. Let's peep that out. Now, it's so important because everyone's looking, where is the Garden of Eden? Where is the land of Canaan, the real land of Canaan? Where's the Garden of Eden? And where did these particular, remember we were in a couple of weeks ago when we were speaking about when first man was being formed, right, in the garden and in the Garden of Eden, and the fashioner, we spoke on, who made you. Okay, and in our ancient record, who this particular person was gives the name El, and he had sons, and these particular people were high advanced. Um, uh, these were high advanced beings, today are on a much more higher vibratory rate, what I'm saying, that we're moving up to, right? So anyway, back then though, right, they were like much more advanced than we are today, but something like Atlantean, right? But now they're on a much more benevolent state, right? Because as things increase, all things increase. Even those particular people back in the day we considered God, even that increases. From our point of view, God unfolds as man unfolds. Okay, so but time never was when man was not. So therefore, when you reach a particular point, it's an infinite, almost an infinite form of evolution. All right. When you really contemplate it all. But anyway, let's move on. So I'm trying to show you guys something. I want to show you where in prehistory, what I'm saying, we want to get what happened back be during the time before they went into Africa. Because they went into Africa for a reason. Okay. And the reason was the flood. All right. And we have to understand that particular reason. So they went into a particular thing. So let's look at this a little bit more and I'm going to get there. Okay. So it says, number 2, old man Cush and his family, right, are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. Now we know that Canaan is not in Africa. So all that, they came from the Holy Lands and the Fertile Crescent. Whoa, no. Not according to our ancient records. All right, so it says his father Ham. So Cush, old man Cush. So how old you think his pops was? People were living a very long time too. So Oban Cush and his family were the first. Then his pops, his father Ham, and his family. His family were second. Then, so that's two families that went into Africa. Then they're going to tell you the parts of Africa. Let's go there real quick. All right. We're second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominions of Amexem. Now, the dominions of Amexem. Now, peep that. So, this is the true and divine name of what they're calling Africa, and the one that they've hidden in terminology and word art, known as North Africa and South Africa, or Northwest Africa and Southwest Africa. When we know that, how can that be when, what people are saying today, that there's only one Africa? Well, that's not what our ancient records tell us. Because before the earthquake, this land mass was one. And therefore, you had this particular portion in the middle. Let's just look at like the Atlantic Ocean today. But at that time, it was more like a river that was navigatable. You're able to navigate from the north. You were able to navigate from the northwest and southwest Africa, right? Through that Niger River, move down South America and all that too, right? And also the Atlantis Island, right? Like the prophet tells us here. There was a island of Atlantis, but there were these rivers too that ran, and these were the navigational points before the earthquake that separated it all, right? So what we're looking at here is Middle Earth. All right, so his father and Ham were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means a demarcation line of the dominions of Amexem. Now, when you go look at the old maps, the demarcation line, Ethiopia, the clue is Ethiopia. So you trace Ethiopia, and it's actually first mentioned is an ocean or a river. Ethiopian Ocean. Then the people began to say, "Oh, I'm Ethiopian," when they got degraded down, didn't really understand the terminology, right? But the ancient Ethiopia was really what is known as the Atlantic today. Go look at the old maps. Maybe I'll pop them out and do a PowerPoint on that for everybody, because that would be really good. Because where we're about to go today, people really want to see where, because I'm going to show you where Canaan is. All right, and we're going to see the Garden of Eden for what it is, and not what it appears to be. You understand that people are way wrong when they're looking for the Holy Lands. All right, they're looking at it from a point of view of secondary information, or secondary outpost. They're not looking at it from the point of view of prior to the breakup of the lands, like the prophet said, which is Atlantis, because like he says in 7, he goes, the dominion. Now, dominion means the government. And inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa. Okay, now they're talking about the ancient Moabites. Across the great Atlantis. Do you see this? Across the great Atlantis. Also the present North, South, and Central America. And also Mexico and the Atlantis Island. Thus, this is talking about before, like he says, the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. But there was a river. But he said ocean. Remember that, man. All right? Because, they'll fool you if you don't. All right? So just imagine a landmass, right? Kind of like this. So you had Atlantis in the center, right? Which would represent Prophet Drew Ali in this picture. You have Atlantis in the center, and on this side you had Cush, and on this side you had Ham, right? But these little pieces in between, like that, were the rivers where you were able to navigate. It wasn't that bad weather. You zoom and come on over here and do your thing. You know what I'm saying? And then going back, hit Atlantis up, see Enki, what they want to call Poseidon, and all these particular things, right? And then go over here, right? Now, Atlantis, though, this is such a great representation. Wow. All right. Now, the Garden of Eden, or where we would consider where man was made, almost looks like this too. I'm going to get into that a little later. Right? But you got to look at the two land masses, something similar to that. You had one piece in the middle, and you had two particular major supercontinents here, right? You had two supercontinents over here. Then you had that one supercontinent, and then you had its other little particular piece that was a little bit closer, like Australia at that time, but it kind of floated because of plate tectonics and all that, right? So anyway, let me move on. All right, so let's go back up a little bit. All right, so ancient. Let's one again. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites. Ancient Canaanites. You know, these people want to show you these modern people who call themselves Canaanites. You know what I'm saying? But these are not them. We're speaking the ancient Canaanites, okay? Now, it's very important now. All right, so ancient Canaan, right? Now, ancient Canaan is in the land of Canaan. Now, it's not in Africa. So where is it? Okay. Let's move on, and we're going to answer this question. Okay, let's go to the let me answer this question by reading you a particular and pick up where I left off the last time. We were speaking about Jesus, and he was doing astral traveling and these particular ships and these particular things. Well, let's go back a little bit, right? Because to see that is to see your ancient forefather in the light of who he is, and not in the spookism that these particular other nations have made out our father and our brothers and our family to be, and taken on our names and taken on our culture and warped it into their particular sensibility and used our science on us when we were asleep. All right. And now that we're awoken and awake, you got to be awake and aware too. It's so important to be awake and aware at the same time, not just awake, but you need to be aware. Aware means understanding. So anyway, they did a lot of tomfoolery with location names and all these particular things, and archaeology, right? And did a whole lot of just lying, just plain simple lie. So it's so important to understand. It's so wonderful that Prophet Noble Ali gives us a clear record, because when you see El or your father or and you're carrying his last name, and you got to know that's Pops, or you got to know that's your father, excuse me, not Pops, but your father, right? And you have to understand that these attributes and these things are real and they're in you, but there's also the one, that particular Allah, that being, and they're real. All right. So when we're looking at these stories about our ancient father in chapter 47, this is one of the parts that I'm going to read to you right now that's pre-flood, that started the whole thing. Now, we just dealt with El. Now, we understand El is Enki. We talked about El being E in history. They call him Poseidon. They've called him Mazda, Ahura Mazda. They've called him many names. Okay. And we need to understand that part too, so that we don't get caught up. The Prophet Noble Drew gave us back to old time religion, which brought us all the way back to the very beginning. All right. All right. So this particular part is dealing with El when he splashed or touched down in the world. Joe Adams L says the air is nice out there, huh? Yes, it is, Mom. Why you say that? It is, man. And you know what? Up here, you can actually still drink the water, bruh. The water out the tap, honest as Allah's my witness, is good. I'm like, what the world? So anyway, all right, yes, indeed. Let me move on. So listen to this. This is, and you guys can pick this book up if you want it. But it goes, The Hidden Accounts of El, the seventh planet to the sun. Now this is El speaking. It says, when I neared its green meadows, Nippur quotes Enki as saying, now Enki is El. It says, when I approached Earth, there was much flooding. Heaps and mounds were piled up at my command. In a pure place, I built my house. An appropriate name I gave it. The long text continues to describe how E or El, or then his epithet, well, he went by E, how it assigns lieutenants putting their mission to Earth in motion, right? And in L's tablet, the one he had a scribe write down, and this scribe is extremely important to understand who that scribe is too, right? Because But anyway, it's very important to understand what's really going on here. So go read the books of El. Go read his books, the Ancient Canaanite, right? And I'll just give you a little bit more. It's just so, and then I'm going to get into the other part real quick. It goes, oh, here we go. Let me read this part. Maybe you guys can get a little bit understanding, then I'll give us some better one. It goes, numerous other texts that relate varied aspects of El's role in ensuring developments serve to complete Enki or El's tale. They include a cosmology and epic of creation at whose core lay Enki's own texts, which scholars call the Eridu Genesis. They include details describing descriptions of the fashioning of Adam. Now, I don't know if you ever heard the book of Adam. And if you haven't, I have that. And if you want it, you can read it. It's bomb. And it speaks um, it speaks about a place where Adam was, where there was it was always light. We'll get there in a second, all right? And then it goes, this particular book of Enki describes in detail about the fashioning of Adam. Now, let me remind you. Number one, in the Quran questionnaire for Moorish American asks, who made you? Then it asks, what is the name of the first physical man? Then it even tells you where was the first part of physical man first formed, in the Garden of Eden. Now, all right, so we're looking at this time right now, prehistory, pre-Adam. And then we're going to find out, like the prophet told us, that there's more than one Adam. All right. So it goes into, and they include texts of Enki's private life and personal problems, such as the tale of his attempts to attain a son by his half-sister Ninhursag, his promiscuous affairs with both goddesses and daughters of man, and the unforeseen consequences thereof. All right. So it gets into Enki literally fashioning man, and he tells you after a while, they tried this, they tried that. Certain things did not work. Some came out that very, just couldn't speak. The biggest issue they were having was that the fashion being couldn't speak. What parallels that is the Planet of the Apes movie, the new one where man lost his speech. They just flipped it a little bit. But anyway, and it kind of parallels with it where they were saying, monkeys got speech. All right. So Enki was taking the beings that were already here and doing his genetic scientist, God being development thing, and pretty much put together a type of superior being. And then even did furthermore to put his own Allah, the husbandman, he put his own seed, a divine seed, into the creation. Why? To increase its intelligence. To increase its intelligence because to increase its intelligence. And when you piece together these particular things, it takes away all this weird stuff now. You need to know where you're going to go. You want to know where you're going to go when it's all said and done. Well, man, time never knows, and man was not. You need to think about that. And then you need to think about the lessons that are being given to you, how to become more morally righteous. Understanding that we're dealing with the being over almost a meal ticket ago now, 450,000 plus years, came here. These ones maybe about 20 feet, maybe. Who knows, man? They were huge. But anyway, came down here and got it cracking. And the reason they were giants is because their planet was 5 times the size of Earth. All right. And you are conducive to your planet in your solar system. In other words, your body It's conducive to its gravity and the size of the earth and things to this effect. This is why dinosaurs, which are artificially created type of genetically manipulated type of animals, weren't conducive for this particular planet because their height and their body weight was a little too big. Although these things were also, by design, what I'm saying, so that you can have fuel today. I know you don't want to believe that. You don't want to believe that scientists can create something almost, 10,000 years ago, and it wasn't millions of years ago when the dinosaurs were here, y'all. It was about 10,000 years, maybe 11, 12,000 years ago. Before the separation, the great earthquake, man, parts of down in South America had little dinosaurs. Brussels down there, right, and Tyrannosaurus, they was huge. The ancient Moabites, they was huge. Now they was like, 14, 15, 16 feet tall and bigger. This is that part that scares people. Oh, no, he's really going too far. He's speaking like some weird stuff. But you just go do your research. And one day, when truth catches up to that what seems to be, you'll see the light. All right. It's not very hard to go and start to research this stuff. All right. So anyway, so in particular prehistory, which we were reading, now let's go to look at it a little bit better. Let's go look at Enki, or L, right? Or E. He had many names that people like to call him. I just say L because that's what our Father gave us back. All right, so let me get a little closer, please, and just find my place. Okay, here we go. I had it marked. All right, so I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs for you. All right, so it's a really good one. Let me go up a little bit more. Okay. All right. So anyway, so L here. This is the part. So it goes L at this time. Now this is a correlation between chapter 47 and 1, previous to the flood. Okay, because we know something happened for them to come into Africa and leave the land of Canaan. Why did they leave like that? It was good. It was great. Why in the world would they, want to roll out? You got to be a detective with this stuff sometimes. So anyway, it says at that time. I'm going to give you a description of L right now. So at the time where we were just talking about when L splashed down to the planet Earth. Okay. So at this time, his epithet name was E-A, where we get Earth from. All right. And it means he whose home is water. He experienced the disproportionate of having command of Earth's mission given to his half brother, his half brother and rival Enlil, Lord of the Command. A humiliation, little mitigating tactic by the granting him this title Enki. In other words, there was a rival between him and his brother, Enlil and Enki. These were two crown princes on Nibiru, and their father Anu, right, who was running Nibiru at that time, sent Enki to go see what was going on with Earth. And did they find the gold? They had to make it through the asteroid belt, which is known as the Oort cloud today. All right. Or the Ordo cloud, or whatever they call it. All right. And they finally found a way through, and they called this the seventh planet to the sun. I mean, the seventh planet, because coming in from the outer planets, this would be the seventh planet to the sun. All right. So when E got here, because he was the scientist, he was the one to come. He was the one that they first sent out to say, is it all really real what we're picking up on our instruments from Nibiru, that we scan this area and it has all this particular mineral that we need that would help out our atmosphere and ensure that we're good, right? So they sent Anu sent L, right, to the planet E. He was the leading scientist, and he got here and he splashed down in the ocean. All right, now this is where you're getting all this story of Oannes and the fish god Dagon and the tail, and this fish dude with this little fish helmet on, and on the back of him he's got a little thing. Well, that was a tank. It just happened to look like a fish. It was a little tank. It's like a scuba tank when it was coming up out the water, and these particular symbols today people take and they put all these weird type of things on it to fool you. All right, brush splash down, put the little wetsuit on. It just happened to be extremely what we would call fancy. So his tanks, his oxygen tanks look like fishes. They were sculptors. These people were like artists, right? So they had the little tanks on and why. You know what I'm saying? So he get out there, he swim ashore and he like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the good thing. So he get on his little watch, whoop de wop, yo man, bring up the wop wop. And some of the ships come up out of there because what splashed down was the mothership. And it was about 2 miles, which was the beginning of Atlantis. Or those mythical stories. Hmm. I know it's hard to believe, but bear with me. Because Islamism. So the um um the point, what I'm trying to get at, is that we've been a little bit misled, right? And we need to really kind of pick up our pace and our vibration to what's going on so that we can get in the groove of things and we can move up a particular out of a particular degraded state of thinking that we can achieve things by collectively putting our minds together and really just getting it done. Right. And all the things are back, have been given back unto you to do this. And this is why we're going through this. Okay. We need to understand who who Bay is, who our ancient forefathers are. All right. And if it goes back to the people that they call everyone else happen to call gods, well, so be it. You need to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because how everyone else acts is how they act. How you have to act is the instructions that were given back to you, which has your righteous mind in it. Okay, not a psychology, not a mind that's been tampered with. In other words, your soul. You got your soul back. Okay. So that's why we're going through this to see this. And if it gets into El touching down on the planet Earth and then building these particular centers where he has to mine the gold, create particular workers and all this, well, it's not very far fetched. Sounds like a very intelligent plan to me if I was on another particular planet and I needed the resources on this particular planet, right? And I get there and I have to build things up around me because it's too expensive to transport it all the way from the Bureau because it makes this particular circuit and it may have been too far out. So I have to take care of the resource and be smart enough to touch down, right? And so when you hear about angels and things like that, and they're in their cherub, are these cherubims, right? And seraphims, right? Some of those cherubims, were ships, yo. Anyway, so we have to just catch up. I know, people probably heard these things, but we have to get these things that are directly related to you. So what does this have to do with Prophet Noble Drew Ali? What does this have to do with our forefathers' divine ancient creed? Everything. Anytime he tells you that you are the ancient Canaanites, and then when we go read the ancient cuneiform writing, and on that writing it begins to speak about Baal, El, and it begins to speak about all these particular gods, and all this that's in your Bible today known as Yahweh, and we retransliterate that. Yahweh actually means El, and they just they got that and transplanted that, and they, all these particular things. And then you start to uncover all this, and you start to really see things for what they are, not what they appear to be. You're starting to look at a whole different reality instead of some spook god that wants us to come and kill a gang of things. Mm-mm. That's some weird story that was told to you by some people who were themselves in fear of something. right? And when you get back your divine lessons, you need to break it down word for word in detail and get the full picture. So this is why we're going into L and his book. All right. So it says, at that time, his ethnic name was E. He whose home is water. All right. Now let's go on. It goes, it was E, a great scientist who came across the hominoids who inhabited those parts of what we now know as the Abzu. All right. So let me go up a little bit. It goes, he whose home is water. He experienced the disproportionate of having command of Earth's mission, given to his half brother rival Enlil. Now, this is the part where people get that wrong. It was never really given to Enlil. It was always given to Enki. Enlil was the lord of the command of the transporting systems and all of the airships and things like that to transport the gold to Mars, and so it can take off from there. And they even had another particular spot over in Saturn. Okay, and this is where, and then it had its other relay stations. Okay, so when the Biru was making its way through, it was able to get all of the resources and minerals needed. You know what I'm saying? While it made its way out. And every time it does come through, it causes a little bit of havoc on the earth due to the fact of the initial cosmic crash of Nibiru and what was known at that time as Tiamat. See, Tiamat was Earth, but it was two times the size. And Nibiru coming through, off of its particular trajectory, ended up getting in the way, and it got in the way and literally hit it, and it chunk, right? Now, it wasn't really Nibiru, it was more or less one of the seven satellites that orbit that planetary system. So when they say Nibiru, they're doing it an injustice. It's actually a seven planetary system that that's all going around a dark dwarf star that some call Nemesis, right? And it comes into our particular vicinity every 3,600 years, right? And sometimes it gets very, very close. Whoa. Okay. Sometimes it gets very, very close due to the fact of the apogee and epigee of Earth. In other words, Earth sometimes when it rotates around the sun, it's really close, and other times it's really far out. And so the further I think it's when it's at a distance, a particular distance, Nibiru is closer, and when it's at its apogee, I believe it's called, it's a little bit further out. So we're at a point where it's actually coming in a little bit more closer this time in its past, which is causing a lot of the Earth changes along with the sun, and it's a natural occurrence, and it also happens to be in a line with some certain of the sun going through its natural cycles too, right? So it's all kind of almost as if it was by design. So this is what the reason why we're reading this, because our fathers give us back such a vast history. So why could he say, I've given you heaven and earth? How could a being make a statement, I've given you heaven and earth, or I've given you back to the keys to the kingdom of heaven and earth? If people take that for granted, thinking that's just some type of symbolic meaning. Well, the only particular people that can give you those particular keys are the ones who are running it. Now, when we really look at what's going on and we begin to look into our science, why is it that all of our history says that we were on the majority of the planets here in the solar system? And then when we look at E, our L, our ancient forefather, who we happen to be carrying his name and the son's name, they're straight up telling you they had ships of Vienan ships that they used to fly up and down, right? Up and down the atmosphere in the ocean. Okay. And then they used to transport particular gold from the Abzu, which was Southern Africa. All right. And then when we go research Southern Africa, it has some of the oldest mines in the world. I mean, ancient, right? And all these particular things, right? So we are with today more evidence to say that our particular people and our forefathers, divine national creed of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, in those who were pushing this, El, Baal, One's going to call him Enki, and Murdoch for Bao, or it's actually El and Bay, are were the ones who happen to be these great scientists. All right. And we need to get up to par with this because we're going through a particular training. I mean, you think you're just going through something being black for a reason? I mean, just because. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think on a lecture that you know the greatest test is when you don't know there's a test because you can't cheat. You're going to be you. You think no one's looking. You know. So this lifetime, when you came back in this particular era, the last era of the Kali age, you didn't know you were being tested. You were going into a school and you didn't even know it. Before there was the schools down in South America, where you can see the pictographs and then you can know which way to go. Some want to say, that there are pictographs of different galaxies and where they were actually at wormholes and all these particular things. Okay, but there are also schools where you can go down there and learn a particular thing. All right, and but today you didn't know, and it was done for a reason. Because how can someone truly evolve after you've been taught a thing for a few centuries? If you're the type of being that has the ability to reincarnate, well, it is to teach you your first maybe two or three your incarnations about things that get programmed into the soul, and these are the things that you take with you, which is intelligent energy, right? And then it is to put you literally level the playing field, and then drop you off and see if you come out right. So this is the ending of the great test, in my humble understanding. I mean, if we really look at it, because the type of fall that we took is incredible because of the things that we were doing. All right. So I have maybe like 4 more minutes. So I'm going to keep on going. Let me read a few of these. It says the air is nice. Oh, that's the same one. Okay, praise Allah. So let us move on a little bit, okay? 'Cause I'm kind of going slow. All right. So it says it was E or Enki, a great scientist who came. Oh, I have to go up a little bit. His given to his half brother Enlil, the Lord of the Command, a humiliation a little mitigating by the granting him the title Enki. All right. So it says Lord of the Earth. Uh, what is this? Oh, okay, my bad. I'm reading the wrong one, guys. Let me get a little closer here. All right, so it says here, it says, from the cities of the gods in their spaceport in Eden, the Garden of Eden, to supervise the mining of the gold in the Abzu, or the AB.ZU, which is Southern Africa. It was Enki, or E, or L, a great scientist who came across the hominoids who inhabited those parts. And so when the Anunnaki trolling in the gold mines mutinied and said, no more, because these ones was down there, even though they had lasers up into the mines, it was still very hot. It was still very cramped. You got huge beams. Brothers was huge down there trying to get it cracking. And, after a while, and maybe after 300 years, which is nothing to them, maybe like, 2 or 3 years, 300 years is maybe like 2 or 3 years to these particular people because where they came from, their lifespan was huge and extremely long because of their sun. All right. So they got pissed off and they was like, look, Lord Enki, you got to do something. So let's go on. It goes. So the Anunnakis mutinied and said, no more. It was Enki who realized that the needed manpower could be attained by. Wow, it just cut off on me. So please bear with me. Did y'all see that? All right, so I'm going to keep on going though. It says a great scientist who came across the hominoids and Enki came down And it was he who realized the needed manpower could be obtained by jumping the gun of evolution and genetically engineering the uh, the particular beings that he found, and he named him Adam, right? He of the earth, and came into being, right? It comes from earth because as a hybrid, the Adam could not procreate. The events echoed in his biblical tale of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden recorded the sacred genetic manipulation by Enki that added the extra chromosome and genes needed for sexual procreation. So this is why it was told for Adam to go procreate, is because prior to that, the first Adams or the sterile beings, right, they couldn't procreate. They can work, but they were kind of dummy. Some would say these were the Neanderthalish, right, and all that. Well, I don't know. But they could work, but they couldn't really procreate. And this is why you see a lot, oh, well, we don't know why this one is. This skeleton we found looks like a perfect human, but it just died off somewhere, right? Well, yeah, because they were genetically manipulating the particular beings that were here, with I think it was the seven birth goddess mothers, and they were invertal fertilization techniques that they were using with the birth goddess mothers, right? And they were coming with the atoms until they got to what is known as perfected Adam or civilized man, all right? First man, the first true man. All right. So anyway, it goes on to tell you about the other particular beings that Enki was creating and all this, right? And Enki added an extra chromosome. Mankind proliferated and did not turn out the way he had been investigated. It was Enki who defended his brother Enlil's plan to let mankind perish in the deluge. The events whose hero was being called Noah in the Bible and Zarathustra in the early and original Sumerian texts, right? Well, we know that to be too Enki's son, Thoth. Uh, you know, when you go read the Emerald Tablets, you can really see a lot too. But anyway, so it goes the firstborn son of Anu appear, and he goes on all the way into particular Enki's travels here and getting here and manipulating the genes and then getting on with the particular civilizations. And when you parallel that with what the prophet's telling you, you pick it up. He picks this thing up with Ham and Cush. All right, after the flood, it then picks up with Ham and Cush. While they're doing what? Moving out of some of the flood zones into Africa. All right, leaving the Garden of Eden. Now, where is the Garden of Eden? Right? What characteristics would it really kind of look like? Now, you got to remember, you can't really geographically kind of conceive that in today's landmass geography. You got to place yourselves back, right? In chapter 47, when he gives you the picture of the landmass is still together. Okay? Because it was the land masses were together when the Garden of Eden was here. All right? And then the flood happened, and then they went into the Africas. Right? Remember, they telling you that all life started in Africa. The prophet's saying it started in Canaan. And he's telling you the being who came down and fashioned man, okay, and began the atoms and the ones that died off because they couldn't procreate. So who knows how many atoms it could have been? Maybe 1,000, 2,000? Could have cloned a who knows how many of them? But they couldn't procreate. But they were working. All right. So we got to see this until he came with what is known as perfected Adam, first man. Thus he took that perfected Adam and tucked him away. So the word was with God, and the word was, you know what I'm saying? You know, had him tucked away for a long time and always send him back. All right. So when we understand that Prophet Noble Drew Ali has given us back a pure record of the events. Now let's go look at the geographic event. So as he says in chapter 47, right, or the geographic of it. As he says in chapter 47, we know that Africa, I mean, where they were, they went into Africa, and we then know then life didn't start there. Okay, so it did not start in Africa. All right, so where did it start? Obviously, it says it started in the land of Eden, and that was in Canaan. Now, where is Canaan? They give you a hint with the name, right? But let's really look at it. And the best way, if I had my PowerPoint up, I'd show you the maps. But I did kind of draw, and I'm not a very good artist like that, so don't get all weird on me. All right, then we're going to end here because I'm going over my time. But actually, the map looks like this. All right, this is where the Garden of Eden is. All right, so let's look at this. So the Garden of Eden is in the land of Canaan, right? And when you're looking at the language of going into, the first inhabitants of Africa and things like that, you have to, and then that landmass that was right there in the middle, right? We got to remember that particular part. You got to kind of place yourself in that mindset, all right? So it almost looks like, Middle Earth or something, right? And then it's separated. But people came into that Middle Earth from a particular point, right? Now, when we look to the south of those land masses, there's only one really continent. There's South America. There's Antarctica, and then there is, if we look to the north of those of the Amexum, let's get our minds correct. So Amexum are the Africas and the Atlantis there. Let's just call it Amexum. That whole Amexum, right, and Canaan, right. So when Amexum, and then they came into it. So when we look at certain things like how migrations kind of happen, because these people were somewhat correct on a few things, right? Because they looked at the more, I guess because the records they had, like, oh, they came over, the land bridge, they came down into the Americas from Asia, and from that little Africa, then they spread out over into, the Middle East, and they went to Europe, and then they traveled all the way up, and they came over into Africa. But these ones to use some wordplay. All right. So let's look at it. When you contemplate this with, God, I wish I had my maps for you. So anyway, Canaan, look at the name. If we do the etymology of that, what is a name that looks like that today? Canada. Okay. And it's very important that you understand that. Because when you, like I told you before, if you do the geological record, the flood was here in North America. All right, and it was way up. It was way up there. All right, and then it came flooding down in. And then people had to leave parts. Okay, so Canada, when we look at it, too close to Canaan for us not to take a good look. And then when we read what the prophet's telling us about the Holy Lands here, right, we understand that they were here in the Americas. So Canada, and then we go look at these areas of up there, right? And then we do like the caribou, the ancient mammoths, and all these particular findings. They do find a gang of people coming down, but they also find these catastrophic events with these caribous all being piled up, and it was a rich country way up there before certain things, and you got to go do the geology reports and a little bit to really get a better view. So anyway, when we look at this, they're saying that this particular land was lush and it was green and it had way beyond what it had today. And this is the time when it was a Amexum. So as we begin to look at the old maps, and I come across a particular map that spoke about this particular land. And then I correlated with the book of Adam. Now, Adam, in the book of Adam, it spoke about when Adam left the Garden of Eden. What happened when he left? He said, "Oh, you kicked us out, or we have to leave, and we're feeling really scared because it's dark and we don't know what this is." And God said, "Well, that's just called night and day. Sun goes down." You have to literally explain to Adam, "Look, y'all, that's don't get scared of this thing coming over, and we're going to call it dark. That's just the sun doing its rotation around the earth. Wah, wah, wah." And Adam had to see it, and God had to stay there with him for the whole night when the sun came up, because he didn't believe the light was coming back, and it did. And Adam got, "Oh, okay." You know what I'm saying? He's starting to feel himself like, "Okay, Pops, teach me some more." And he began to describe the planets and the stars and the animals in the sky and the zodiac, all these particular things. So Adam was learning, right? But he told a very key part. He said, "When we were with you, God, it was always light. It was never dark. Please, why did you do this to us? Why are you putting us where sometimes the lightness, sometimes it's not? We want to go back." He said, "Well, you can't go back. You ain't coming back to the garden, yo. You got to get out there and start getting it cracking, learn how to stand on your own 2 feet." And that always puzzled me until I began to do research about how the planet works. And there's a couple places on the planet where it's always light time. Anybody know where that's at? Anybody want to put that in the chat real quick? Where is it sometimes in places where the light is always there? The sun is always shining. All right. So North America. All right. And so when we go look at this, there is on ancient maps a continent up there. And then on modern maps, there is none. And it's like they took it away. They took this old continent away. Alaska, Islam, oh, that's right. In Alaska, it's always light. But if you go even further than what they're calling Alaska to the point where it's called the North Pole, there's really no North Pole there because the compass has stopped working and there's a huge hole right there. But, we'll call it the North Pole, right? But if you go there, right, there is a landmass. And it was very strange because I tried to find it again and I couldn't find it on any modern maps. All the way back to like after the 1500s, they stopped putting this land on maps. Or 1700s. And I couldn't figure out, or maybe it was the 1800s, excuse me, the 1800s. And I was trying to figure out why. So anyway, I did my deep research and I'm looking, I'm like, whoa. And then I began to look at this particular land. I kept seeing it pop up everywhere. In the most obscurest of places like Captain Hook. It would pop up in Hollywood on you. And it tells about a place in Captain Hook where when he went, what is the little flying dude, the little weird dude, the little flying guy, right? When he went to go fly, he flew to a place where the compass spun, and it was outside of the compass. And he went to this land, and this land was beautiful. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I heard about this land. And I went back to look at the maps. I'm like, oh my God. And then when I got to the more science, a little bit even more deeper into the idea, it hit me. I'm like, whoa, there it is. This particular land they're hiding. They got it guarded up there right now. And if you take the trip up through, say, the Great Lakes, and it begins to go through the harbor and all that in Canada, all the rich, super rich people kind of live up there in those little islands, and then you can't go any further. But I know there's land there because I have the old maps. And then when I really began to look at this, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It only makes sense. So when El splashed down on planet Earth, he splashed down at the most accessible spot, which would at that time connect to all the land masses, which is at the North Pole, because it looks like this. Y'all gotta bear with me on this drawing, okay? All right. So anyway, here's the land at the North Pole, and there are 4 rivers coming out of it. Okay. and there are these mountains in the center. And these land masses on each, like if you were to split this into like that, right? So over here, right? If you kind of look at it like this, over here is the pygmies, or what is known as the Twa people, are the leprechauns. And right down there is Greenland and Ireland and all that. And then if you get over here, it's some other particular ones. These people called the Vikings called where Valhalla is and the Great Tree. It's right over there. Then you get over here, it's other stuff, and it goes into America, and it goes, you know what I'm saying? And this little landmass, or that circle seven, right? Those four rivers. So when you're looking at your little seven, you see the land masses right here, the river, the river, the river, the river, and the land masses surrounding. And as Allah is my witness, there is a land just like that up there. And this is they mysteriously call this the island of Dr. Moreau, or that lost island. No, it's not the mountains under the moon, right? That's something different, I think, right? This is that land, that mysterious land that was spoken about, that's hidden. And if you go look at it, say this is the landmass, and around it, like I was trying to show you with this, is actually the continents of the earth, right? Like right here. Let me try to show it to you one more time, and I'm going to move on. So right here, if you look at it, you'll see a little continent here, a little continent up there, and something, oh no, right here, and right there. Well, this is that landmass that sits at the top of the North Pole, and there's like four rivers coming out of it in these particular mountains, and actually the mountains are pyramids, and there's a pyramid up there. And when you really look, and if you look at it, it goes to all the land masses of the earth. So what happened when Enki came down, his 2 mile ship touched down right there. Boop. All right. And so the water surrounding it, all right, and the areas he touched down somewhere, right there. And it's a trip, man. Now you don't believe me, all you have to do is go do your research, but it's very powerful to know that's really the Garden of Eden. This is where the genetic manipulation of man was, the fashioning and the forming was going down. Okay. And when you're at that particular place, west is east, or east is west. You know what I'm saying? Things to this effect. And yeah, you know, and all the land masses are right there. And it's really weird. I'll find the map one day for you, but it's got the writing on there. The ancient writing says an island right near that, right near here, right near here, right near this island. There's like a couple little islands up in there, and they said this is the island where they control the weather. There's an island over there where they control the weather when you translate it. Anyway, just give me a little picture of your folks, right? And you need to understand that you have a divine awakening for you. So when we look at chapter 45, the Prophet Noble Ali shows us prehistory, because he tells us that people went into Africa, but everybody today saying that's where it began. We know that's not true, because if it began there, then the first families would have came out of Africa and went into, right? But they came into Africa, which means they either came up into it, but there's really no landmass right there for them to do it like that, right? So that either means, yeah, you got to really look at where the landmass for them to go into Africa like that, all right? And when you really begin to see, and we really begin to piece it together, like when the prophet talks about Atlantis, and he also talks about number 8, the river Nile was drudged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great Pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade. Okay, so if the Nile was dredged by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt, then where was Egypt? Because it sure wasn't on the Nile, because the Nile wasn't there yet. And if you do study the Nile and its mileage, it's actually 25,000 miles long, which correlates with the 25,000 year history, which correlates with the circumference of the earth and quite a few other things. And if you go up the Nile and see where all the pyramids were, it matches star constellations. So we know it was artificially dredged, it was artificially made. Okay. So the question is, to whom are the pharaohs then, to who he's talking about? Because before there was a pyramid, you had to bring the water and you had to bring the Nile first. So life can begin. So where are those pharaohs coming from if it wasn't over there in what they consider Africa? Because the Nile wasn't even dredged, but there's pharaohs around. Is it making sense? All right, so they were obviously here in the Americas because the American pyramids are older. And if you want to know why the pyramids are so important, are here, it's because it's the only pyramids that have the steps so you can climb and go to see somebody. The ones in Africa don't have no steps. You ain't gonna go see nobody. It's a machine. You understand? The ones in South America have steps so you can go see somebody. Well, I tell you, I be fooling y'all on a major, major scale. Ooh, the ones in Africa over here, the whoopty whoop ones and the whoopty wop ones. Really? That's a machine, yo. It gave you Wi-Fi across the whole planet. I know you don't want to believe that, but you ought to make up no Wi-Fi. You barely just learn how to wipe your nose, troglodytes. So praise Allah, I'm not here to talk about anybody, but sometimes these people just get me because they lie so much. But it's okay because we're back. We don't even need to hate. All we need to do is be us. All we need to do is learn what the prophet's giving us and come back to our divine self. You know what I'm saying? I love each and every one of you. So I'm going to kind of end with that, and we're going to go the next time on the ship with Jesus, the light ship, and then we'll come back and visit El one more time while he's fashioning man. We're going to then hit our Quran questionnaire and go step by step with the book he's explaining what he's doing and what the Prophet Noble Ali has given us back. Okay? Because it's right on target. All right. So now we're going to move to the Prophet Noble Ali and end it in this 3 minutes. We have to hit the Prophet because that is one of the pieces I'm going to deal with. We're going to go into the Prophet right now. You know. So for those that have the student manual number 2, we're on page number 7, and it has a picture of the royal prince. Now, I wish I had that picture. I do, but I don't have it with me. But anyway, if you do have that, it's called on the jurisprudence book. There's a picture I put in there with the prophet sitting on the throne. Okay. And the reason this hieroglyphic is so important, or what people want to call a picture, but it's actually a hieroglyphic, right? It's so important because in one expression, in a single expression, he tells you his entire mission to man. All right. And hold on, man. Why is this thing always want to do this when I'm about to really go there? All right. So anyway, if you happen to see this particular picture, okay, he has on his royal garment 2 feathers, a sunburst ornament on his turban. He has a sash from left to right, from right to left, excuse me. He has this one that goes across here, the chest, and then he has a waist sash, okay, a multicolored one, and his garment is specifically pants is gold, and he's sitting in a particular stance. His hands are making a particular gesture. All these particular things mean something, yo. Every single thing. He ain't just putting something on just because. He's got to put things on to wake you up. He's got to bring things that wake up the mind when you see symbolic pictures because it resonates a harmonic frequency. Symbols have a harmonic frequency. So even when you see the pictures of the prophet, it's a frequency he's giving off so that it can wake you up because he knows who he is. Wow. All right, so these particular things, and when you look at that royal sash he has on, at the bottom there's an elephant, and then it says Islam. There's a crescent moon, and it has MA. There is a star, and it has these two tassels, right? And then when you blow up the picture really, really big, you can see the Allah on the tassel, a number 7, and a skull, and the word and the letters MA. What is that? Oh, he's a secret society. Oh, he was one. Man, these are weak-minded ones. Don't shut up with that. Scary. Scared of a word, man. These people are scared of a word, yo. Illuminati. Boo, you scary dude. Girl, boo. You know? Illuminati. Like that got some mad power over you. Ooh, wee. These ones is crazy. So anyway, I'm the Illuminati. How about that? All right, so let's deal with this picture. So on the preamble page, and then we're going to end. We're going to go through this preamble, and then we're going to end because I'm truly going over my time, and I know y'all don't want to be up on here for another hour. All right, so it says preamble, the laws within signs and symbols and names. It is recorded in the annals of Moorish American history, oral statements and prophecies. The Holy Prophet said, the garments I have on represent power. And if you obey my voice, you will have power with me. Look what I have on. Now, this was handed to me by the government. It represents the royal prince, right? Who's that? It represents the royal prince. The prophet wore, he wore a particular mantle. It's so important that we understand because he's not trying to show off. He's not up there with no arrogant vanity, like, oh, look at me with the fresh turban and the little whoops and the feathers and this little wow. No, he's not trying to do that, man. He's trying to give you a hieroglyphic that will vibrate so that it can wake you up because everything he has on is for a specific reason. He said the government called him the royal prince. And when you go look up the royal prince, what does that mean? It means Christ. All right, so it says here, let me move on quickly because I got to end. It says, look, all right, so it says, in the above hieroglyphic, the Holy Prophet's status and purpose is expressed in a single expression when one is conscious of the hieroglyphic. Signs and symbols are for the conscious mind. The feather, and these are the first layer of what they mean because it has multiple meanings. And get this one, and then we can go deeper. So the feathers are an eagle's feathers, or a horse, or a hawk. And they are to the right side. The feathers represent the indwelling spirit, the descending dove, one who has been raised to the Christ, like the dove symbolically landed on the top of Jesus while he was being baptized by John the Baptist. After this event, Jesus was known as the Christ. All right. So now the white turban represents purity. White means purity. Purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. All right, and we can go deeper, but we're just going to give the basics right now. The sunburst ornament on the prophet's turban represents illumination. The sun manifesting its energies, bringing light, life, heat, also a resurrected mind, and totally, fully opened up third eye. All right, the royal mantle, in other words, that one that goes across, right? All right, so the royal sash that Drew Ali wore was unique in its nature. Its first represents a station, prophethood. Notice the word Islam at the bottom, center of the sash. Also the letters MA and Allah in the center where the heart is. It's a testimony to his prophethood. Also, the sash represents sovereignty, supreme power established over a body politic, supreme excellence, and an example of it. Freedom of external control, out of time, and controlling influence, upright, independent, and fearless. Okay? So the multicolored sash he has around his waist, very important, represents a master sage or a mastermind that has aligned and rose up his chakras. The multicolored sash represents the colors of the chakra. And you can see he has them all. All right, so the holy, holy prophet Drew Ali, or the holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. Holy means set apart to the service of God. A prophet means one who utters divinely inspired revelations, uh, one gifted with more than ordinary spiritual and moral insight, and one who tells and utters the future. Can't have a prophet if he ain't hitting no prophecies about the future. You got some people out there that don't say, "Oh, we don't believe in the prophecies." Really? Then what prophecies do you have to believe in? Oh, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. Okay, that's two. All right, so let's move on. Noble is a title meaning possessing, characterized by, or arising from superiority of mind, ideals, and morals, possessing outstanding qualities, and also means of high birth and aristocrat. That's what noble means, like a prince. Drew, his family name, Drew, or that name, Drew, his family given name during the time of slavery. It means it. Although look what it means. His name means no. His first, what's his first name? Drew. So Ali is his last name. Noble's a title. So it means to cause to move continuously towards or after a force or truth. Applied divines. So Drew means to bring in or to gather from a specific group or to bring unto oneself. Wow. Ali is the 36th attribute of Allah, meaning the Most High. It's also a tribal and surname for the House of Ali or for the Moors. But that comes from the House of Ali because the house had to be reestablished. All right, so royal prince. The term royal prince means Christ or one anointed. Now, the crescent moon and star, symbolically represent the unity of the sun, moon, and star and first family. The crescent moon has come to represent the woman slash mother slash widow. In the Moorish science, it is symbolic of salvation. Salvation means the realization of the supremacy. I'm going to end here because it's cutting off. It like cut off 3 times. I'm going to read one. I'm trying to read this last part. So when you see the star, right? The star represents the son, son of the father and mother. The son in reality is a son. The star in reality is a sun. We call it a star because it is far in distance. Distance equals future. Thus, the star is a child. It's also symbolic of the child. When you see the crescent, moon, and star, the star is symbolic of the child in the crescent womb of the mother that needs to be rose up in the womb before birth. You're as perfect as your mother is. So praise the Lord. We're going to end here. I've been going way over, and I said I was going to end, so I really have to. Little update. I don't even know if it's recorded or anything because they shut down my YouTube as soon as I went live this evening. So I hope all this will be on there. Anyway, so that's the lecture for this evening. I didn't get into everything, so I kind of went a little particular way. I hope everybody got a little piece, and I hope I said something inspiring and to keep you going, to keep you on the track of loving your forefathers and foremothers' divine national creed. Come to honor and love Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and of course, praise Allah every single chance you get in song, word, and dance. Okay? So I love each and every one of you. If y'all want to go on to stay on a little bit, I'm going to play a little music. Right? If not, you stay on long enough, I might hit you with the last little jewel. I don't know how long people like to stay on. I can't go on for 2 or 3 hours, though. All right? So anyway, I hope y'all got where, go look up the land of Canaan and understand, you got a map to get in. You got a key to get back to the house. But if you don't become the 7, well, it's okay. Time never was when man was not. You're going to have a chance. But the prophet said if you don't get it right this time, you may not come back in human form. You want to be very careful that you don't come back as some type of weird, chimchira. You don't want to come back as a chimchira, yo. I'm sorry. P and B. What does that mean, Mo? Oh, peace and blessings. Islam, Amanel. Praise the Lord, Mo. I'm glad that you showed up. Okay, so everybody, that's it for this evening. I really don't have any more. Okay, so I was going to play a little music, but it's not really queued up, and it's been going through it. So give me a ring. Oh yeah, here's one thing for everybody listening who was. We're going to do a collective ceremony. Actually, I'll be down there within the beginning of next month, and it's better that we do this in person so that we can celebrate and we can all meet one another, and I can sign certain documents that you need signed. All right, so I will be there, like I said, the first week of next month, and we should all be getting together for some meetings to celebrate, meet one another, those who haven't yet, and have a barbecue, come together and praise Allah, right? And then we'll do this the decoration. Okay, Islam, sister Rashida, Islam. She's laughing at me. But praise Allah, y'all. Uh, uh, so that's really it. You know what I'm saying? We do want to throw some nice little barbecue. You know what I'm saying? Some veggies. You know what I'm saying? Make some good veggie burgers. You know what I'm saying? Have some good drinks. I made me a cake earlier.